Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be discussing the alien agenda, at least in the best ways that I think I can convey. Without further ado, let's begin. This is Vice.com. Congress admits UFOs not man made, says threats increasing exponentially. This was back in 22, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't hear anything about this in the greater UFO discussions, and I don't hear it even be touted out there from anybody, really. I mean, I think that this alone is one of the most big deals within. So let's get into it. I just think that that's amazing in context. After years of revelations about strange lights in the sky, first-hand reports from Navy pilots about UFOs in governmental investigations, Congress seems to have admitted something startling in print. It doesn't believe all UFOs are man-made. Buried deep in a report that's an addendum to the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2023, a budget that governs America's clandestine services, Congress made two startling claims. The first is that cross-domain transmedium threats to the United States national security are expanding exponentially. The second is that it wants to distinguish between UFOs that are human in origin and those that are not. Temporary non-attributed objects, or those that are positively identified as man-made after analyses, will be passed to appropriate offices and should not be considered under the definition as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon, the document states. The admission is stunning chiefly because, as more information about the U.S. government's study of UFOs has become public, many politicians have stopped just short of claiming the unidentified objects were extraterrestrial or interdimensional in origin. The standard line is that typically that if UFOs exist, then they're likely advanced, although human-made, vehicles. Obama refused to confirm the existence of aliens, but did say that people have seen a lot of strange stuff in the sky lately. When asked directly on The Late Show with James Corden, for example, but now Congress seems to want to specifically distinguish between objects that are man-made and those that are not. A cross-domain transmedium threat is one of that, by the Pentagon's definition, can move from water to air to space in ways we don't understand. In July, the Pentagon announced it was opening the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, to investigate these threats. The bill would reclassify unidentified aerial phenomenon, the government's term for UFOs, as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomena and rename the Pentagon office in line with the new designation. Last year, a leaked video that was confirmed by the Pentagon as being authentic appeared to show a UFO seamlessly flying beneath the waves. Senator Marco Rubio, the vice chair of the Senate Select Committee overseeing intelligence that issued the report, has publicly said he wants the UFOs to be aliens and not foreign weapons. A large question, of course, is why Congress is seemingly admitting this now in public. After all, uh, lawmakers are privy to classified information that the general public isn't. It strains credulity to believe that the lawmakers would include such extraordinary language in public legislation without compelling evidence. Marieke von Kennenkampf, an Obama-era DoD official, said in an op-ed in The Hill about the budget. According to the op-ed, the comments were first noticed by UFO researcher Douglas Johnson. This implies that members of the Senate Intelligence Committee believe on a unanimous bipartisan basis that some UFOs have non-human origins, von Rennenkampf continued. After all, why would Congress establish and task a powerful new office with investigating non-man-made UFOs if such objects didn't exist? Make no mistake, one branch of the American government implying that UFOs have non-human origins is an explosive development. And that's exactly what I mean. Even though it's a former Congress, the fact is that they had admitted, that based on what they had seen, I guess, in their spending bill, that they believe that there are UFOs that are not man-made. So where do you go with that? But the story got hushed under the rug, and for years I've not heard really anybody else cover this. And I think this is a big deal. A bipartisan group of U.S. legislators has long put pressure on the Pentagon to figure out what the strange lights are that Americans are seeing in the sky. In 2021, the DoD issued a report detailing more than 100 sightings that it investigated. It said some of what it studied could not be explained with current scientific models and asked for more time and money to study the phenomenon. Congress has given it to them, and now it's asking the Pentagon to focus only on those objects that haven't been designed by human hands. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I just think that what this author even said, or it's a big deal. But yeah, they didn't. This shit went under the rug. The Times. Bank of England must plan for financial crisis sparked by aliens. A former analyst at the central bank has urged Governor Andrew Bailey to put contingencies in place to prevent collapse if alien life is confirmed. The Bank of England must plan for a financial crisis being triggered by an official announcement confirming the existence of alien life, one of its former policy experts has claimed. Helen McCall served as a senior analyst in financial security at the UK Central Bank, preparing for events that could impact the economy. She has now written to Andrew Bailey, the bank's governor, urging him to organize contingencies for the possibility that the White House may one day confirm we are not alone in the universe. McCall, a Cambridge graduate, believes a declaration of that magnitude would send shockwaves through the markets and could trigger bank collapses and civil unrest. Until recently, suggestions that governments were covering up the existence of alien life were limited to a small coterie of conspiracy theorists and UFO activists. However, a host of senior American officials, including the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Kirsten Gillibrand, and James Clapper, a former director of national intelligence, have recently indicated their belief in the possibility of intelligent, non human life. Rubio, a close ally of President Trump, told the makers of the recently released UFO documentary, The Age of Disclosure, we have we have had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it is not ours. This month, the Sunday Times disclosed previously classified state files, which showed that the British military sought to obtain extraterrestrial technology after receiving credible intelligence that UFOs appeared to be real and could outperform any known human craft. McCall, who worked for the Bank of England for 10 years until 2012, insists that politicians and bankers can no longer afford to dismiss talk of alien life and to snigger about little green men. The United States government appears to be partway through a multi-year process to declassify and disclose information on a technologically advanced non-human intelligence responsible for unidentified anomalous phenomena UAPs, she claimed. If the UAP proves to be of non-human origin, we may have to acknowledge the existence of a power or intelligence greater than any government and with potentially unknown intentions. It is entirely possible that the government leadership and their central banks have not been properly briefed on the topic. UAP disclosure is likely to induce ontological shock and provoke psychological response with material consequences. McCall added, there might be extreme price volatility in financial markets due to catastrophizing or euphoria, and a collapse in confidence if market participants feel uncertain on how to price as assets using any of the familiar methods. There might be a rush to perceived safe assets such as physical gold, other precious metals, and some type of government bond. So yeah, we got that. So that was from the Times. So now we have the Bank of England here that is being told, look, you gotta prepare for the inevitable. It seems like they're revealing this shit, so get the ball rolling on the fallout, and so that's a thing too. This is from Fox News. Pentagon officials suggest alien mothership in our solar system could send mini probes to Earth. A new research paper in draft form comes from the Pentagon's All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. This was in 2023. Pentagon officials said in a draft document last week that the aliens could be visiting our solar system and releasing smaller probes like missions conducted by NASA when studying other planets. A draft research report authored by Sean Kirkpatrick, the director from the Pentagon's All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, and Avram Loeb, chairman of Harvard University's Astronomy Department, was released on March 7th and focuses on the physical constraints of unidentified aerial phenomena. An artificial and interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA's missions, the report said. These dandelion seeds could be separated from the parent craft by the tidal gravitational force of the sun, or by maneuvering capability. The AARO was established in July of 2022 and is responsible for tracking objects in the sky, underwater, and in space, or possibly an object that has the ability to move from one domain to the next. Congress tasked NASA to find 90% of all objects near Earth that are larger than 140 meters in 2005, which resulted in Pan-STARRS telescopes, according to the report. On October 19th, 2017, the Pan-STARRS detected an unusual interstellar object that was later named Oumuamua, or Scout in Hawaiian. The object was cigar-shaped, appeared flat, and was propelled away from the sun without showing a cometary tail, leading scientists to believe it was artificial. 3 years later, another object was discovered, the report noted, namely NASA's Rocket Booster 2020 SO, which had no cometary trail. The report also said 6 months before Oumuamua made its closest approach to the Earth, a meter-sized interstellar meteor, IM-2, crashed on Earth and exhibited an identical speed relative to the Sun at large distances and an identical shape to Oumuamua. With proper design, these tiny probes would reach the Earth or other solar system planets for exploration as the parent craft passes by within a fraction of the Earth-Sun separation, just like Oumuamua did, the authors wrote. Astronomers would not be able to notice the spray of many probes because they do not reflect enough sunlight for existing survey telescopes to notice them. So you got to piece these things together as, you're presenting in one, like I am. You see all of these things that have came out in the last, few years. It becomes apparent that the disclosure narrative is well on its way. CBS News. Newly released video at House UFO hearing appears to show U.S. missile strike and bouncing off orb. A newly released video captured by a U.S. Reaper drone shows a glowing orb off the coast of Yemen. Then in the video, a Hellfire missile suddenly struck the unidentified object and then bounced off of it. Representative Eric Burleson, a Republican from Missouri, shared the video at a House Oversight hearing on Tuesday on what the military calls unidentified aerial phenomena, or better known as UFOs. The video, dated October 30th, 2024, was provided by a whistleblower, and when slowed down, the missile can be seen continuing on its own path after striking the orb. A recent government report revealed that it had received more than 750 new UAP sightings between May 2023 and June 2024, leaving lawmakers digging into the mystery and a national security concerns posed by the objects. We've never seen a Hellfire missile hit a target and bounce off, said Luis Elizondo, a former senior intelligence official with the Pentagon. When a Hellfire makes a hit, a kinetic strike on something solid, there's usually not much left of whatever it is hitting, Elizondo said. It's very, very destructive, but in the video, what seems to happen is the missile is either redirected or in some cases perhaps glances off the object and continues on its way. What was not shown in the video is a second Reaper drone that launched the missile. Details remain unclear, including what the mission was. The U.S. military was conducting regular airstrikes against Houthi targets that posed a threat to the U.S. Navy in commercial vessels. Pentagon's officials told CBS News they have no comment. UFO Task Force, eyed as lawmaker warns of strange objects in the sky and waters defying known technology. Proposed task force would work with federal partners to assess airspace safety risks and investigate UAP reports. A Vermont lawmaker is setting his sights on the skies with a new bill posed to create a UFO panel within the state. Representative Troy Hetrick of Burlington has introduced legislation looking into set up the Vermont Airspace Safety and Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon Task Force, according to the Vermont Digger. The bill reportedly proposes the creation of a state task force to investigate reports of both unidentified aerospace and underwater objects, assess safety risks regarding airspace, and work alongside federal partners and researchers to discover improved policies. I am not a subject matter expert at all, Hedrick said. The Vermont Digger reported, as policymakers, I think we have an obligation to remain attentive to emerging trends in public safety. According to H654, the panel would investigate reports of any unknown objects that exhibit performance characteristics not consistent with currently understood technology, such as instantaneous acceleration absent observable inertia or hypersonic velocity without a corresponding thermal signature or sonic boom. Hedrick initially introduced the legislation at the request of a constituent lobbyist Maggie Lenz, according to 7 Days Vermont. Lenz, owner of Atlas Government Affairs, reportedly became interested in the issue after a string of UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena, made headlines throughout New Jersey in 24, sparking nationwide panic regarding countless mysterious flying objects. I'm certainly not saying that it's aliens, Lynn said, according to 7 Days Vermont. But I do think just having the conversation here in Vermont will begin to allow for it to be taken a little bit more seriously. The proposed legislation replicates the federal government's response to UAPs in recent years. Following Congress passed the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act in 2023, and the U.S. Department of War's creation of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolutions Office. So we have now Vermont starting their own. Per Fox News, pilot reports UFO hovering beside jet, leaving air traffic control stunned. Good luck with the aliens. Pilot reportedly told ATC the cylindrical object appeared to be standing still with nothing attached to it. The pilot of a private plane reportedly made an eerie discovery while flying thousands of feet over Rhode Island, marking the latest in unexplained encounters baffling both experts and civilians alike. Newly resurfaced video shared on YouTube in October by the Vassivation channel reveals the head-scratching moment the pilot radioed to the ground team at Rhode Island TF Green International Airport regarding a mysterious small silver cylinder hovering near the wing of his aircraft, telling air traffic control ATC it appears to be standing still. Looks like a strange small object that we just floated by, the pilot told ATC according to the clip. A small silver canister, do you know what that could be? ATC went on to inform the pilot there were no other reports regarding an object in the area, and then asked the pilot if it could be a drone or balloon. I saw nothing attached to it, the pilot responded according to the clip. It was sort of hovering there. It was astonishing. I don't know what it was. The object was reportedly seen floating near the right wing tip of the Piper PA-32 RT-300T Turbo Lance II at an altitude of 3,500 feet before flying alongside the aircraft and later disappearing from view. Creepy. The ground team can be heard saying on the radio with ATC joking, "Good luck with the aliens." Other pilots quickly took to the radio to join in on the mystery. As one added, "I want to believe him." The FAA documents UAP sightings whenever a pilot reports one to an air traffic control facility, the FAA said in a statement to Fox News Digital. If supporting information such as radar data corroborates the report, the FAA shares it with the UAP task force. Multiple U.S. government agencies have individual programs or processes to study and document UAP. However, the agencies also work collaboratively on the topic. This was not too long ago. So now you have the pilots reporting UFOs. And this has been going on throughout since we've had aviation. There's countless reports from the military and intelligence and police that have been documented out there. International Business Times. Stanford scientists claim CIA agents suffered fried brains during UAP investigations. Dr. Gary Nolan details CIA investigations into UAP exposure and mysterious injuries. Stanford University's Dr. Gary Nolan has lifted the lid on extraordinary research into unidentified aerial phenomena, revealing claims that the CIA personnel suffered bizarre injuries described as their brains looked fried. The revelation suggests that the government scientists are investigating events that might involve unknown energy effects, raising questions about potential threats both on Earth and beyond. Discovery of unusual human injuries. Dr. Nolan, a leading expert in immunology and cellular biology, recounted an unsettling moment when CIA representatives approached him with medical scans. According to Nolan, MRIs and X rays revealed brain damage in intelligence officers that could not easily be explained. Areas of their brain had just been dried, he said, speculating that the injuries may have been caused by an energy weapon or an unknown electromagnetic effect. The Stanford scientists had spent decades developing techniques to analyze cellular and tissue samples in minute detail, allowing him to study anomalies from potential UAP exposure. He stressed that these were not isolated incidents, but a pattern that merited scientific investigation, highlighting the urgency of understanding unknown phenomena that may interact with humans in unusual ways. Analysts of potential alien material. Dr. Nolan is also known for examining materials that might originate from non human sources. In one instance, he analyzed a small, desiccated corpse with a triangular head and large eyes. Experts in pediatric bone disorders from DNA analyses could not identify a known syndrome, and portions of its DNA appeared unclassifiable. While the organism was initially thought to be centuries old, further analyses suggested it was only a few decades old. His work demonstrates the rigor applied to investigating anomalous materials, combining advanced lab techniques with meticulous cross-disciplinary consultation. Nolan's team uses high parameter mass cytometry and computational models to understand biological patterns, providing a scientific framework for distinguishing unusual injuries or materials from conventional explanations. Despite presenting medical data and potential evidence, Dr. Nolan described significant resistance from CIA officials. "Well, that's impossible. We don't have anything like that," he recalled them saying, highlighting the agency's reluctance to acknowledge phenomena outside conventional understanding. The research raises broader questions about the CIA's UAP investigations, including claims that energy effects were capable of disabling weapon systems or interfering with military hardware. Nolan suggests that these incidents could indicate technology or intelligence far beyond current human capability, whether terrestrial or otherwise. Scientific approach to unexplained phenomena. Dr. Nolan emphasized a disciplined scientific methodology in examining UAP related injuries and materials. His laboratory at Stanford can sterilize and analyze blood samples, profile tissues at single cell resolution, and track immune responses using advanced cytometry techniques. This approach allows him to build comprehensive models of human reactions to anomalous events, bridging data across disciplines such as immunology, genetics, and biophysics. His work balances curiosity with caution. While he does not jump to conclusions about extraterrestrial involvement, he acknowledges that non human intelligence or advanced physics might explain certain incidents. By focusing on data and reproducible analysis, Nolan illustrates that studying UAPs and unusual injuries is not science fiction but a legitimate scientific endeavor with national security implications. In summary, Dr. Gary Nolan's revelations expose a hidden dimension of CIA research into UAP phenomena, showing that personnel may have suffered severe neurological effects and that potential alien material is under serious investigation. His scientific approach underscores the need to study these events rigorously, blending biology, physics, and intelligence insights to confront one of the most mysterious challenges facing modern science and security. So now we got these people from Stanford It should be obvious that there is a disclosure narrative that is taking place. Like you should understand that they are preparing you for extraterrestrial, the like eventually to contact. Defense coup. Congress wants to know more about the military's UAP intercepts around North America. The fiscal 2026 National Defense Authorization Act includes three provisions that would impact DoD's All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. The conferenced version of the fiscal 2026 National Defense Authorization Act would require the Pentagon to brief lawmakers on operations since 2004 involving any unidentified anomalous phenomena UAP intercepts conducted by the integrated military commands that share leadership and focus on defending North America. This mandate marks one of three provisions associated with UAP, or the modern term for UFOs, and other mysterious transmedium objects that made it into the annual defense policy legislation. It also comes as North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, and U.S. Northern Command, NORTHCOM, are confronting a concerning spurt in reports of unexplained drone and UAP incursions, particularly near sensitive military installations and critical infrastructure sites. Congress's inclusion of these three UAP provisions in the FY26 NDAA reflects a meaningful, if incremental, step towards transparency and oversight. The Disclosure Foundation's executive director, Jordan Flowers, told Defense Scoop. Formerly known as the UAP Disclosure Fund, that recently rebranded group involves leading scientists, academics, national security experts, and transparency advocates who organize and back a range of efforts to drive policy research, public education, legal support, and congressional reforms to compel UAP disclosure from the U.S. government. Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, serves as the organization's chairman of the board. Flowers noted that two of the measures that lawmakers adopted into the latest NDAA mirror specific recommendations Mellon and his team have publicly promoted for years. The Pentagon has a storied legacy when it comes to dealing with technologies and craft that personnel have reported performing in ways that seem to transcend the capabilities of contemporary assets. At a high level, the Defense Department's team to study UAPs have taken a different form over recent decades. In its most recent version, known as the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, was officially launched under the Biden administration in 2022 to fulfill a requirement in that year's NDAA. A provision in the fiscal year 2026 NDAA would amend the prior mandate to also direct Congress with briefings and data regarding the number, location, and nature of any UAP intercepts and conducted by Northcom and NORAD. Details about the procedure and protocols followed during those operations, including any data collected or analyzed during such intercepts, is also required under the new legislation. At an event on Capitol Hill in May, Mellon noted that the U.S. operates some of the most advanced sensor systems in the world, but information they captured about anomalous incursions has historically not reached Congress, AARO, or the scientific community as much as transparency advocates would like to see. Creating a statutory obligation to brief Congress on these intercepts is a concrete step towards correcting that deficiency, Flowers said. The conference version of the fiscal 2026 defense policy bill also includes a directive for AARO to account for UAP-related security classification guides that apply to information used for reports and investigations of such phenomena. In Flowers' view, that inclusion responds to long-standing concerns about overclassification and improper restrictions on the release of imagery or data. Disclosure Foundation officials, including Mellon, have repeatedly warned that the DoD internal classification guides have been applied in ways that are inconsistent with executive order standards, resulting in what they say involves the suppression of material that was previously unclassified. This new requirement is a necessary first move towards greater consistency and transparency, Flowers noted. The third UAP related section in the NDAA would broadly eliminate duplicative reporting requirements and streamline federal agencies' process for providing relevant data to and information to the Pentagon for AARO's investigations. More work remains, but these updates are encouraging. Flowers told Defense Scoop. They demonstrate that Congress is listening to subject matter experts and is taking incremental steps to strengthen oversight, reduce barriers to information sharing, and ensure a clearer understanding of anomalous activity in U.S. airspace. Both chambers of Congress must pass the compromised version of the NDAA, and the president must sign it before it becomes law. Per the Daily Mail. America's nuclear sites secretly invaded by thousands of UFOs, new report reveals. Crowdsourced platform Enigma revealed to the Daily Mail that there have been more than 2,800 unidentified aerial sightings over 90 U.S. nuclear plants or nuclear weapons facilities over the last 8 decades. The new report detailed sightings of objects often described as glowing orbs, disks, spheres, cylinders, or triangles hovering over or flying in precise patterns within 25 miles of these nuclear sites. One of the most recent reports from April 2025 captured video of a glowing orange ball changing shape while flying over Bear, Delaware, which is located near the Salem Nuclear Power Plant and Hope Creek Nuclear Generating Station in New Jersey. It just kept getting bigger, disappearing, bigger, disappearing. I thought it was just a star at first, or just a plane from the distance. Then I realized it got a lot closer and kept getting closer, bigger. Then it started flashing, the eyewitness described. It wasn't a drone, it wasn't mechanical. It would actually morph into different shapes. One witness in California from April 2023 said, after hovering, it arced sideways and it disappeared in the blink of an eye. I felt it was observing Diablo Canyon nuclear plant. More than 70 of these reports specifically referenced UFOs with metallic or reflective surfaces flying over bases in broad daylight during the early dawn hours. Enigma added that the nuclear sites and missile bases in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida saw the biggest clusters of sightings. Moreover, these incidents exploded during the mysterious drone surge over the East Coast between November 2024 and February 2025. Enigma said many of these sightings described structured light emitting objects that pulsed or changed color before disappearing, characteristics that closely resembled those attributes to the unidentified drones reported across the region at the time. One witness near the Salem nuclear power plant claimed that the several small objects hovering over the facility seemed to combine into one large UFO in February of 2024. I was coming up to Salem Hospital and saw those 4 lights in a square hovering over the building. It looked like, but the closer I got, they seemed to disappear, the witness revealed. So I started recording, and you see all these little lights going into the big bright one and not coming back out. Although the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office is charged with investigating reports of UFOs, the military has maintained that there has never been any physical evidence that proves extraterrestrials or UFOs exist. The new report also detailed how many of the thousands of objects easily violated restricted airspace, raising concerns about how safe America's national security sites really are. If these objects belong to foreign intelligence or advanced programs, they expose vulnerabilities in national defense, Enigma researchers wrote in a statement. If they are something unknown to science, they may represent new physics or technology. Either possibility demands improved detection, data sharing, and protective measures. Enigma, which allows people to report sightings and share pictures or videos of UFOs on an app, noted that these incidents included the strange craft seen over Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana in 1967, just as several Minuteman missiles shut down. The sightings of strange craft and unidentifiable objects over nuclear plants weren't limited to just the U.S. Researchers detailed how witnesses claimed they saw UFOs over 2 major nuclear disasters: the 1986 reactor meltdown in Chernobyl, Ukraine, and the 2011 accident in Fukushima, Japan. In Chernobyl, a bright cylindrical object was reportedly seen hovering near the burning remnant of a nuclear power plant's reactor 4. There's never been any confirmation that the radiation dipped after the sighting, as some have claimed. During the Japanese meltdown, similar glowing objects were allegedly flying over the damaged reactor. However, these sightings were later suggested to be foreign drones conducting surveillance of the accident. In the U.S., the sightings go all the way back to the dawn of the U.S. nuclear program in the late 1940s, with Enigma detailing how bright green fireballs were reported near Kirtland and Sandia Air Force Base in New Mexico. Overall, Enigma Labs has collected over 1,800 reports of UFOs flying and hovering near 53 nuclear power plants in the U.S. Another 1,000 reports specifically mentioned incidents that allegedly took place over 37 U.S. military bases linked to nuclear weapon research or missile launch sites. Half of these sightings claimed that the objects were able to hover over or seemed to float through the air, and 1/3 mentioned suddenly disappearing or vanishing into thin air. From NPR. U.S. recovered non-human biologics from UFO crash sites, former intel officer says. 3 military veterans testified in Congress's highly anticipated hearing on UFOs Wednesday, including a former Air Force intelligence officer who claimed the U.S. government has operated a secret multi-decade reverse engineering program of recovered vessels. He also said that the U.S. has recovered non-human biologics from alleged crash sites. But while the topic of little green men did come up, much of the discussions centered on improving processes for reporting unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. The military's term for UFOs, increasingly, UAP refers to anomalous rather than aerial phenomena to account for sightings in both air and water. There are also calls to remove the stigma for aviators who report UAP sightings and to ensure oversight of government programs that investigate them. Retired Major David Grush, who went from being part of the Pentagon's UAP task force to becoming a whistleblower, told the House Oversight Committee's National Security Subcommittee that he had been denied access to some government UFO programs, but that he knows the exact locations of the UAPs in U.S. possession. In response to public interest and political pressure, federal and military agencies have shared a trove of information about unexplained aircraft encounters. But many sightings have been found to be of pedestrian origin, from weather balloons to drones to airborne trash and birds. On Wednesday, Defense Department spokeswoman Susan Grau issued a statement saying that the Pentagon inquiries had not turned up any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or even currently, as the Associated Press reports. Grush also alleged that the U.S. has retrieved non-human biological matter from the pilots of the crafts, adding, "That was the assessment of people with direct knowledge of the UAP program I talked to that are currently still on the program." While he refrained from sharing any further information in the public hearing, Gruff offered to disclose details behind closed doors. Grush said he hasn't personally seen any alien vehicles or alien bodies, and that his opinions are based on the accounts of over 40 witnesses he interviewed over 4 years in his role with the UAP task force. "My testimony is based on information I have been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country, many of whom are also shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony," Grush said, adding that the trove of evidence has been intentionally kept secret from Congress. Several times during the hearing, Grush deflects lawmakers' questions, saying he could only elaborate in a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility. Those instances include when he was asked if the government has had any contact with aliens and whether anyone has been murdered but to cover up information about extraterrestrial technology. Grush said he couldn't comment. The former intelligence officer also told the panel that he and several other colleagues have been the targets of administrative terrorism, and that he has at times feared for his life since coming forward. It was very brutal and unfortunate. Some of the tactics they used to hurt me both professionally and personally, he said, adding that there is currently an open investigation into the matter. UAP sightings are not rare or isolated. The subcommittee also heard testimony from former Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves and retired Commander David Fravor about their alleged encounters with aircraft of an unexplained origin. Graves recounted an incident with a flying object off the coast of Virginia Beach in 2014. While flying an F 18, he said he came upon an aircraft that looked like a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere that he estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter and unlike any aircraft he has ever seen. Graves claimed the UAP could remain stationary despite hurricane force winds. He told lawmakers that his squadron submitted a safety report at the time, but that he received no official acknowledgement of the incident. According to the former pilot, UAP encounters in the region were not rare or isolated. Graves has since founded Americans for Safe Aerospace, a group that supports aviators who have reported UAPs. He stated that the objects that are reportedly being seen by military and commercial pilots are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country. He added, if everyone could see the sensor and video data I witnessed, our national conversation would change. Incredible technology, unlike anything we have. Retired Navy Commander David Fravor offered the panel his own eerie accounts of a UAP encounter that was captured on video in 2004. The Pentagon released the video to the public in 2020. Fravor described being flabbergasted when he and three other service members saw a white tic-tac shaped flying object emerge over the San Diego coast in California. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any visible flight control surfaces like wings, he said of the UAP. As he said, the other pilots tried to get closer to the mysterious craft. It rapidly accelerated and disappeared right in front of our aircraft, leaving no detectable turbulence. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything we had, Fravor said. I'm not a UFO fanatic, but what we saw with four sets of eyes, we have nothing close to it. It was incredible technology. Fravor said it was several years before any officials followed up on the extraordinary events of the day, and even then, he added, nothing was done.